casually dressed and deep in conversation with me, Greg Chalmers. CDDC is sponsored by Pizza Daddy, Lanarkshire's #1 American-style pizza parlour. To stay up to date on new flavours and promotions, then get connected on the socials. The Instagram handle is @RealPizzaDaddy and the website is www.thepizzadaddy.co.uk. To see what we're getting up to here at Casually Dressed, then you can find us on Instagram with the handle @CDDC Podcast, and on Twitter it is @PodcastCDDC. And with me today as my co-host, it's Chris Shields.
Hello.
Our guest today is fiddle player from Eabhal and resident of Hawaii of the North, Jamie MacDonald. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. How about you, Christopher?
Yeah, not too bad. Plodding along. Life in the bus lane, as they say.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. So, Jamie, you're obviously up there in beautiful Tiree. So, explain to us, with the sort of current climate, what is lockdown like up in Tiree?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. I don't know if your audience know Tiree that well, but it's a small island off the west coast, and there's a population of about just over 600 in the winter. But usually we have a really busy tourist season, and right now the island would be like flat out with holiday makers, and you'd be kind of small single track roads. You'd be stopping every three minutes to let someone by, but it's totally dead at the moment. Totally empty, which is quite nice. Apart from, well, sometimes it's nice, but you kind of missing that seeing people.
It must have a huge impact on the economy, though.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about. I mean, one of the big money makers on Tiree is the tourist industry that keeps the island going, and a lot of people with holiday accommodation are struggling a wee bit. And I think the main thing that people are looking for is just an idea of when the island can open up again, because you can obviously only get here via ferry or plane, and Calmac are running on an emergency timetable at the moment. You can't get your car booked on, so it's just we're kind of in limbo at the moment, waiting for stuff to pick up again.
Yeah, I suppose it must be difficult because you've got, I'm over in Belfast at the moment, and
Oh, nice.
And we're hearing like the dates for all kind of hospitality sort of stuff's been brought forward to the 3rd of July, and so you start thinking, oh well, maybe things but it must be completely different for yourself, obviously being out in the islands, because you're like you say, at the mercy of plane companies and ferry companies. I mean, yeah, it must be strange.
It's a funny one, because you speak to your pals on the mainland or your family in the mainland, and that it's almost as if you're running to a different timeline. You're like a couple of weeks behind, and I do totally understand there's no COVID-19 on the island. Why would you risk bringing it over? Like I know the Isle of Skye had a total disaster in one of their care homes. The virus got in, and you can see why people are worried about it, but also you can understand both sides of it. The folk that are, their business totally relies on it, and it's a tough one. I wouldn't like to be making the decisions.
No, definitely not. Actually, I think there's a huge responsibility, especially because for all the islands, there's a huge responsibility, because it would just ravage through, because the population's so small. Plus the medical care, I think, if on the islands, probably it wouldn't be able to deal with like a mass outbreak like that.
Well, they're struggling over here, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. We've got one of the churches on the island set up as like a contained medical base, especially if they needed to isolate. Because we've only got a surgery on the island. There's a couple of doctors that rotate, but my mum, actually, she's from Hertfordshire, and she moved to Tiree to be the practice nurse ages and ages ago. She's retired now, but they were all getting a call being like, if you need to come back to work, just be prepared. And she's been organising a group of people sewing. They've been making scrubs for the emergency scrubs, so they've got surplus scrubs so that they could wash them and
Wow.
So that there's been a team of about 20 of them on the island, kind of ripping into old bed sheets and whatnot. And in fact, I did. You had Luke Patience on. His mum did a couple of them as well. And there's just, I suppose, a good way to pass the time. But it's been a weird kind of feeling in the community coming together for stuff like that as well. So that's kind of a positive from it, I suppose. But yeah, it's totally bizarre, man. I've been spinning about, dropping them off, leaving them like underneath someone's car in their driveway, and like back off, hand sanitizer on the way down next house.
I think, Joe. I think we've on the podcast we've spoken about the positives that we think will come out of all of this, and I think one of them is probably that the sense of community and people all pitching in, and it's a throwback to what things were like in like the sort of Second World War, First World War times, when people had to sort of team together and try and make the best of a situation, you know. And I think especially nowadays, people are the world's a lot smaller, but people couldn't be further apart. But
Totally.
I think that this has kind of brought people together, you know. For talking's sake, Cardross, where I stay, when I was younger, there was a real sense of community. There was like 2 pubs, there was the local football team, everyone all kind of knew each other. And as time has rolled on, Cardross has become more and more of a commuter village where people use it basically to go back and forward from their work in Glasgow. So people no longer spend their time in Cardross, they just sleep here. You know, but during all of this, you see people are doing the clapping thing on a Thursday, going outside their house and talking to their neighbours and checking in on the elderly and stuff like that. And I think that it's kind of maybe breathed a wee bit of community back into the village, and I can imagine that's probably the same everywhere.
Yeah.
I think
it'll be.
Sorry, you go, mate. Then you go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah, I think it's like I've noticed. I mean, Tiree's a wee bit different in that there is quite a close community here anyway, but you do notice everyone. It seems like everyone's doing their bit, which is quite nice, and it keeps morale up as well.
I totally agree with you. Right, so COVID aside, Chris and I, before we'd spoken to you, were just kind of discussing island life. So talk to us about what's an upbringing like on one of the islands.
Yeah, I mean, like I would say, it's totally normal because it's all I've known. But so my school was really small. There was about kind of 50 of us between the high school and the primary school. There was 10 in my class. I'm a twin as well. Maybe you didn't know that. I've got a twin sister. So like, we made up 20% of our class, which was. Like, so the numbers are totally small, but then again, it's like, as we're talking about community, you know, everyone in the school, everyone got on quite well. So I quite enjoyed school, particularly secondary school. I had quite a good time. It was, it's like it's bizarre. And then like I've gone away, I work out of Glasgow as well at the moment. I'm kind of between Tiree and Glasgow. Just with music stuff, the rest of the band are based down there, so it's a big jump from that to that, but the world's so connected now. I'm sure the kids at the school on Tiree at the moment are quite used to nipping to the mainland and being involved in that.
You say nipping, it's like 4 hours in the ferry. Do you know what I mean? You can get a flight. You can get a flight to Italy in that time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I remember we were coming back from, I think it was the States or that, and like everyone's took me longer to get from the mainland
So is the school in Scarnish?
The school's actually in Cornig.
Right.
It's towards the kind of centre west of the island. Scarnish kind of centre east. It's
Right.
maybe the third biggest by size village on the island, but there's not really a main. I mean, Scarnish is the biggest of the towns, but they're more what you'd call townships. A couple of houses kind of congregate around the end of a road.
Well, I mean, I've been to Barra, so I've been to Castle Bay.
Yeah.
And I've been on Uist as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Actually, well, I went to Uist and then went to Barra. And I got to, when we arrived in Uist, it was like night time, so it was pitch black, and it was the first time I'd ever been to the islands, and I like got off and I was like, what? There is nothing here. But then when we went to Barra, so we pull into Castle Bay, and it's absolutely beautiful. So we camped next to where the airport is, down on the beach.
Oh yeah.
And it's the peace and the calm that really struck me, and also how friendly everyone was. Like, see, when you're driving about, everyone's like, "Hiya," do you know what I mean? And that's why I was asking you about what the upbringing was like, because obviously, well, I'm Cardiff, but it's like half an hour from Glasgow.
Yeah.
But people aren't like that here. You know, there's a different ambience to the whole thing.
I think as well though, where we're from, I mean, like obviously I'm Helensburgh, just down the road from Cardiff, but it's like, with there being a naval base just up the road, you've got this constant kind of like rotation of people. So there's always, it is strange. You can go and you can be in Helensburgh kind of all your life, and every time you go back, you're like, I don't recognise anybody here. But that's because I'd say probably 40% of the population have up and moved, and a new lot have moved in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a kind of a constant kind of manoeuvre of people through our town, so you don't really get that kind of familiar with many people.
I do find myself when I'm on Tiree at the moment, because I'm kind of half my time away, half my time back. Like at one point when I was living here all the time, I was at school, you know every car you pass on the road, and now I'm like out driving my dad, like, whose car's that? Who's that driving past? It's like, when it's not Tuesday, like, who's that? But it's like, oh, I don't know.
So I was wanting to ask you about Gaelic. Or Gaelic,
yeah,
depending on your pronunciation. I'm right in saying, is Gaelic your first language?
Yeah, so myself and my sister went through Gaelic medium education. So our primary school was all in Gaelic. My dad's from Tiree, my mum's from Hertfordshire. So my mum doesn't speak Gaelic, but my dad's family all speak Gaelic. In fact, his sister was our primary school teacher, which goes to show you how small the community was. So, like, your family make up a good chunk of that classroom. But me and my sister are both fluent in Gaelic and English. We're bilingual. But in the house, we don't speak Gaelic as much as we maybe could. But we do chat it quite a lot. But my sister's actually she's in Gaelic broadcasting. She does she's a CBBC's presenter for the Gaelic language side of it.
Wow.
Oh, right. I was telling
a
Chris,
lot of my music's through Gaelic as well. So
I was actually telling Chris that one of our family friends, their daughter studied Gaelic, and she works for BBC Alba. It's a girl called Robin Lowe. Do you know?
Right.
Yeah, don't know if you.
Oh, I know of her.
Yeah.
I know of her. Yeah.
But
it's a small world. Like.
Oh, aye. Well, that's what I was thinking, because. And that's why I said it, because Gaelic, I mean, it's a diminishing language, sadly, you know. And I would imagine that anyone who speaks it would know probably everyone else who speaks it, just for...
Yeah. So at the moment, actually, there's been a kind of a bit of a resurgence, or that it feels like there is. I couldn't go into the numbers for you. I'm sure they're somewhere. But so Gaelic is it's our language, but it's really similar to Irish. And then on the Isle of Man, they've got Manx Gaelic as well. And then the other strand is you've got Welsh, Cornish, and Breton in France. So these kind of 6 are the kind of Celtic languages, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's so I think Manx was really low for a while, and now it's growing. Irish has always been, they probably call it Irish or Gaelic, and it's really similar. Like you could have a conversation. I could have a conversation with someone from like Donegal, no problem.
All right.
But the further south in Ireland you go, in fact, we were playing over there in Clare, which is kind of halfway down.
Yeah.
And so we were doing a gig there. It was an anniversary of a radio show, and the producer phones up saying, "Oh, will you come in to the BBC in Glasgow and just do a bit of promo on the show before you go and do the live gig? Just a bit of chat." And the presenters from Donegal, I knew her a wee bit anyway. I was like, "That's fine." Spoken to her loads of times in Gaelic, no problem. Got in and so, "Oh, she's not in today. It's a colleague who's from right down in Kerry, right down the bottom." I was like, "All right, okay." And so we're sitting there, headphones on, waiting for it. Then they're like, cue lights on, and he starts speaking. I had no idea what was going to say.
Oh no!
And myself and Caitlin, the singer, were just like looking at each other. And then it's like, and then all we heard was Eabhal, and then like radio silence. So we're just waiting for it. We were just like starting speaking in our Gaelic, and I had no idea what the listeners thought of it.
There must have been people driving in a car going, "What is this conversation I'm listening to, man?"
The guy, the engineer in Glasgow in Pacific Key there, he doesn't speak Gaelic at all. So he said, "Yeah, was that good? Was that good?" And we were like, "Yeah, oh man, smashed out the park." Okay, but nobody mentioned it since. So like,
have you been invited back?
We went over like the 2 weeks after did the gig, and like nobody mentioned that like some of the other bands that were playing the show and like nobody mentioned it. We just like did the show and it was really good fun. It was a really good good program.
Mm-hmm. So do you think in Gaelic or Gaelic? Sorry.
Do you know what if I'm speaking it and that's the kind of mode I'm in, then I my thought process is in that language. Mm-hmm. But when I'm speaking and I'm not like translating from Gaelic into English right now to speak to you, which I'm sure at one point that like if I'm learning another language like French, I'm thinking in English, and then like I do not speak French just in case that gets thrown at me. Like, but you know when you're learning a language from scratch, but because we learnt Gaelic as fluents from school, like. That was our go-to. I think in Gaelic when I'm speaking Gaelic, and when I'm thinking in English, I speak in English. Because I'm not sure what my father's generation, if they are thinking in Gaelic and swapping to English. It'd be interesting to find out, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've just left the army, and I had a couple of mates of mine who were Welsh speakers. Like, that was them. They were fluent in Welsh, and that's where they went through school speaking Welsh. And he was exactly that. He would be, he would think, he used to tell us he used to think in Welsh and have to translate it. And it was great when he had a few beers, because a few beers, then forget and start speaking Welsh at you. And like, I can speak fluent Bangladeshi whenever I've had a few drinks. I'm talking straight back at him. Like, the two of us are having a conversation, no one knows what we're talking about.
So, obviously there is a rich culture on the island, especially when it comes to music. So was that always the direction you were going to go in?
Not really. There's never been a plan, really. So kind of like on Tiree as well, with like the school, everyone is quite musical, and like it sounds quite. It's good for selling now and saying that everyone is musical, but genuinely at school, like most people were like pretty competent musically, or at least like were musical in some way. So there was always kind of a culture of that, and it was like you hear kind of like some of my contemporaries, if you like, being like, "Oh, it wasn't cool playing traditional music at school," whereas on Tiree it kind of was. It was like because everyone did did it. Like the cool guys did it anyway. Yeah, everyone did it. So
Cool
like,
guys.
you know, the cool guys, me. But, it's cool.
That's cool.
But,
Yeah.
so there was never any like any kind of stigma about it or whatever. It wasn't like oh, you got this accordion out, giving it kind of sort of stuff. It was always this done thing. So we've always kind of taken it for granted. And on Tiree, a lot of kind of the other kind of big bands in Scottish tradition have come out of Tiree, like Skerryvore or Skeepnish. My first cousin's the accordionist in Skippinish anyway, so we kind of, that was always around us. And like I said, I've got my sister's musical as well. She plays like semi-professionally as well, so it's always just been the done thing for us anyway.
So talk to us about Eabhal. So coming from, I mean, it's obviously such a small community, but there is such a large audience for traditional music.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about Ainsley Hamill and Ryan Young, and I know, because I know them personally, I know that they've travelled the world doing it.
Yeah.
So has it been the same for you guys?
Yeah, so we're so Eabhal started off on Uist with our guitarist and piper, who are still with the band. There's been other members come and go, and but all of us at the moment have studied on. So we all went to university to do applied music, which isn't necessarily traditional music, but on Uist there is a college, a branch of the University of the Highlands and Islands that specialises in traditional music. Lewes Castle College, Benbecula campus. If anyone's out there's interested, I would thoroughly recommend it. There's a 1-year course out there that was brilliant. So I just went. I wasn't sure what I was going to do when I left school, so I was like, I'll go and do a year on Uist and like learn music, get a agency. Ended up staying and doing the full degree. So we were all there anyway, and like, as you say, the community thing, we were all like playing music with each other loads anyway. The band just kind of came out of that, and we started doing a couple of gigs locally on the island, and then we all kind of came down to Glasgow just quite naturally anyway, as we were getting more work through that, or like our piper, he's between Carbridge and Glasgow at the moment, and so the rest of the guys, our guitarist, he's from Northumberland, and our singer, piper and accordionist, there's 5 of us all together, are from the Highlands. They're from around Inverness. Megan's from a wee bit further north. She's up Sutherland way.
Oh, really?
Anyway,
I've been up to Sutherland, up Brora and all that area.
Yeah, so she's from Lairg.
Ah, right, okay.
Just kind of right in the middle. So we were all be kind of involved in the traditional music scene anyway, and then came to Glasgow, started playing a wee bit more, doing a couple more shows, and it's just kind of slowly snowballed from there, and then you getting asked to go and play on the continent a bit more, and then you end up over in the States. So we were in China last year as well. Wow. We were over in a big festival in Shanghai and surrounding areas called World Music Asia, which was like, it's mental to think you go from playing in a pub with a couple of your mates to no one, and then suddenly you're playing in like a massive shopping mall in Shanghai to people that have just got no clue what's going on when the bagpipes come out. But it's one of my favourite things about it is like seeing all these random places that you just kind of wouldn't get to see otherwise.
So where's been the best place you've played?
That's a good question. I really like playing kind of home gigs on the islands because they can be quite wild and they're good fun. But I also like playing these kind of more exotic places, if you like. Like I would say the China trip, we were out there for a week and a half, was just so bizarre. It was so far removed from anything I'm used to. We were out there with so it's a world music festival. So there was us and one other Scottish band, I think, Rura, if you've heard of them, were out there, and then there was bands from all over different countries. So we were in with this Turkish band for a couple of shows, like on this tiny little bus zipping about Shanghai, going to these you turn up and there'd be like no one, there'd be no set up, and then suddenly there'd be this massive stage set up with a big lighting rig in the middle of a shopping mall in some bit of Shanghai, whatever, and suddenly there'd be this massive crowd, and you've got no idea where it's come from or what's going on, and play your set, and then sell your CDs, and that's it. Back on this like tiny little bus, away
Bizarre.
you go. It's so bizarre. It's great. It's a great festival.
So, are you playing your own tunes, or is it sort of the old favourites?
Yeah, so we do a mix. We do a mix, really. Our direction or our style, I suppose, is it's kind of West Coast, like bagpipe music, kind of, and Gaelic songs, kind of West Coast tradition. But we totally like. There's lots of different influences in as well. We write, I would say, maybe 50% of the material, and 50% of it is old stuff we found and we've reworked, or stuff written by like our contemporaries that we then probably butcher, and they're like, "Ooh, why are you playing it like that?"
No.
But it's really good fun finding the stuff. And in fact, we were having a chat. It's been a bit of a fact talking. I'm sorry to bring it back to the pandemic in question, but it's been a total learning experience for us now, having to try and write music via Zoom. We had a Zoom chat this morning just before I came to chat to you guys, and we were like writing down who's gonna. It's good that we're all actually got like wee studio set up so we can like record stuff and bounce it back and forward. But it's a total different way of working that we're all figuring out.
Mm-hmm.
So
I suppose it's so far from, obviously the music's got really traditional roots, but then this has really kicked it into like the modern era.
yeah.
And you're working, like some people are working with a producer on the other side of the world and stuff like that. That's it's an interesting dynamic, actually.
I think it's
mean,
a really
sorry. I was just saying, it goes back to what we were saying in previous podcasts as well. We've had like this pandemic base. It's allowing people to create more freely and kind of using all these other little bits and pieces, like having Zoom and stuff. It's incredible to think people are still managing to, although we're all detached, are still managing to create something, especially with yourselves who would have I'd imagine you'd have traditionally been kind of in and around next to each other, so you're all present with each other. But using stuff like this, it allows you to be detached but still be in the same room. It's excellent.
It's been super kind of weird figuring it out, because our process has always been like meet up and kind of like fight about it in person until you get what you like. Whereas now you're like kind of Facebook message being like, oh, I'm not sure, but like it's a much slower process, which isn't how I would probably. I'm quite like to go in and like smash it all out and then have a good like set plan of how we want to take things forward. But I think in terms of like creativity, it's been a weird one. Sometimes I've definitely been like, I can't feel creative in this environment, but sometimes it has totally lended itself to it. And it'd be interesting to see. I was like, we were saying to the guys, I bet they're like in the award season next year, that like album of the year category is going to be jam packed, because everyone's just been like, oh, I'll just do a solo album while I'm sat at home and that. So it's like, we're working on album 2 at the moment. It's like, let's just hold off, let's just wait, let it all get out the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whittle down the competition. I like it because I would imagine, having been to many a ceilidh, and I have sat in pubs when there's been a trad band playing, a lot of it is the energy and the atmosphere the music creates. And I would imagine that would be the same in a recording or a rehearsal setup, when you kind of feed off the energy of the music. And I think doing it over Zoom, it would be, or any other communication is available. But doing that, it would kind of, it might diminish it a bit.
Yeah, we definitely try and build an energy when we're playing live. Anyway, that's one thing we're always kind of conscious of. So and when we're usually rehearsing as well, it's very face to face. You can totally lock in with each other, and we haven't actually. I think we tried to do one Zoom rehearsal, just three of us, and it just didn't work. Cause so any rehearsing we're doing is either individually at the moment or like pre-recorded, sent to each other if it's like writing. I have seen a couple of jazzers doing like a live jazz improv thing. A guy, Tom Bancroft, I can't remember the name of it, but I was looking at it yesterday, and that's been pretty cool. But they really, I mean, I suppose with their music, anything that goes wrong, they just go with it, and it's part of it. It's so kind of
jazz is kind of it's off tempo anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if there's a delay.
You just go with it. I was watching. Well, there's one video they had out there, and suddenly one of their mics started like looping. I don't know if something went wrong, and they just like went with it, and it took it a really other direction. It was like quite cool, but I don't see that working for us. But it's one way. Maybe the guys have sat at home and be like, oh yeah, let's get this. but it's been interesting to see how other people are dealing with it. And I've been like texting around mates and that, be like, how are you guys rehearsing at the moment? Because but there's nothing really to rehearse for at the moment. All the gigs have been chopped for the next few while.
Stopped,
that's what I was actually going to bring that up next. I was going to talk about the Tiree Music Festival because
seamless, gentlemen, seamless. Like
what a segue! I'm a professional. What can I say? Because I'd heard of it before. I said off camera I've heard of the festival on Isla, and there's one on Skye I've heard of before. But I wasn't aware of just how prominent the one in Tiree has become. Am I right in saying that like there was like 2,000 people at the last one? Yeah,
so that the capacity is just I think it is just on 2,000 at the moment. But like last year, tickets were sold out before the lineup was even announced. They sold out in January. There was a launch at Celtic Connections Festival in Glasgow, and the popularity of the festival is massive at the moment. I do a bit of work for them as well. We play there. We played there the last 2 years, and I played there for on and off for a good wee while. But I also work for them, doing bits and pieces. You can usually find me in the festival office during the festival. But unfortunately, this year's festival is cancelled. So we're just looking forward to next year, but there's not really a lot of. I mean, when the pandemic was announced, I think all bands are probably in the same situation as they just kind of watch their inbox fill up with festival cancelled. We were heading right up to. In fact, I think it was the day. A couple of days before, we were doing a show up in Leith, right up in Wick, right up in the top of Scotland. And that was the first one. We pulled that along with the promoter ourselves, just because it was starting to happen. And I remember as we pulled that, thinking, wonder how this is going to go. And I think our next show that hasn't been pulled yet is at the end of September, but we're not holding out massive hope. There's there's 3 festivals that we've caught that are still at the moment planning on going ahead, but our whole kind of festival season's been just totally decimated. And it'd be interesting to see how these festivals kind of react to it. As far as Tiree Music Festival is concerned, we're lucky that we've got a kind of really strong kind of returning audience, and a lot of them have just transferred their tickets over to next year and been like, yep, no problem, we'll commit to that, which has been brilliant because it's totally allowed the festival to keep going. And like these, I mean, that's the only way that this industry will be able to move forward. Is well, I can imagine there being a struggle for some if they're having to like just refund everything and start again from scratch. It's a bit of a hard one,
especially
so
for like a burgeoning festival. I think it would probably be more difficult. One, they probably don't have the capital to do all that, and two, it would probably do irreparable damage to the festival itself. But it's good that the Tiree one. I mean, I think looking just at the photographs and any sort of stuff I've seen on YouTube, the atmosphere looks incredible. And actually, I think if you get the weather, it would just, because that literally Chris and I were like, we're going to that. That looks amazing.
Yeah,
we were talking about coming up and just setting up a place to podcast and just interviewing the bands, and that'd be brilliant, man.
Yeah, it's a really good atmosphere. But we were like joking amongst ourselves, be like, I bet the weather on the date this year is going to be
it will be incredible.
Warmest day of the year.
We've had a couple of. We were on a run of kind of roughish years. Last year was actually sunny, kind of 2 of the days, and then there was a bit of rain. But the couple of years before that, we had a run for quite a while of like bad weather. In fact, before I was still playing at the festival, but before I was kind of working with the team, we had 1 year where there was just a total storm. I don't know if you've heard of that. And like the island, we had like the whole campsite got evacuated into various different buildings on the island. It was totally mental. The weather was terrible. Like the hotels like opened up their like lounges and whatnot, so people like campers could go in there. Both of the school there was folk in the school, there was folk in the hall, there was folk in both of the churches, the community centre, cattle mart. It was all open. Wow. It was mental. The year of the storm, it gets called. I mean, you'll probably read about it. Yeah, man. Honestly, like look it up. So we were joking about this, like, I hope there's a good storm this year. Festivals cancel, but no doubt it'll be an absolute scorcher of a day.
So is there a good mix of ages at the festival?
Totally, it's totally a family festival feel about it, but there is a good mix of folk go to it, and it's like the island that weekend is just full of folk. It's a really good atmosphere, but and it's not just traditional music at all. Really, there's like we've had Top Loader 1 year. We've had the Fratellis. We've had trying to think who else. Do you remember Sandy Tom?
Yes.
Remember, she was the first headliner.
Wow.
First headliner. So she peaked. But we've had some really good stuff, and it's a great way, like for me as well. That's like I'm very much in the kind of traditional music sphere or scene, if you like. It's great to hear like other music. There's a great act, I think it was last year, the year before, called B Charlotte, who's doing really well at the moment, and acts like that come through, and we had Callum Beattie as well, and we've had a good rake of like some quite good bands, as well as the traditional bands. We're there too.
So is there other things to do on the island? Like obviously with that amount of people coming, I'm sure that there's other activities that people can also do. Totally,
yeah. There's actually lots going on in Tiree. Tiree's quite well known for windsurfing and surfing as well. It's every year we've got a wave classic, which is on the windsurfing circuit as well, and it's like I think it's pro competition. So that industry is quite big here, and loads of people come out for that. There's also there's a sea tours company that take people out to the Treasure Isles, out to Fingal's Cave, Staff, and stuff like that. There's lots going on. I mean, our beaches are our main kind of selling point, and the scenery and that. But there is loads to do on the island, and it's a great place in the summer right now when it's bustling, but which is why it's so bizarre at the moment, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, when you were saying about the beaches, I mean, like I said, I've been to Barra, and I can imagine it's a similar thing. It is incredible. You know, you would think, I mean, I said at the beginning, it's the Tyree's of Hawaii or the north, but you'd think you were in the Caribbean if you're on one of the islands in the middle of summer. You can't, the water's just incredibly clear, the sand's white, it is insane. It's somewhere you need to go, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, when I was having a look on your website, I noticed obviously you do the wee glamping pods and stuff. Cause
yeah, in fact, I'm in one of them right now.
In one of them right now. I noticed that. And yeah, I was just obviously it's. I mean, I'm more than well versed when it comes to camping, being in that.
Yeah.
I've done it for a large number of years. But I broached the subject with my wife, and no, I think she's not one for camping. So I think definitely something like a glamping pod is exactly where it's exactly where we should go down. The route we should go down, definitely.
Well, obviously we've got no holiday makers in at the moment, so I've got this one set up as a wee kind of makeshift recording studio, which is it's filling a need, I suppose, keeps me at the house. but yeah, it's when the weather's good, you can't beat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can imagine those wee glamping pods with nobody on Tiree just now would be the ideal place for social distancing. Just one member of the family in each pod.
Totally, exactly. Well, it's like it's good for your kind of if you have to do like when I came back just before the lockdown and I could do my 2 weeks after being on the ferry out here on my own, no problem.
Anything it's the slightest cough. Pod.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in the pod.
In the pod. Oh,
a big black cross on the side of it. It's like, don't go in here, man.
A quarantine sticker on the front of it.
Red flag up. Don't come near this pod.
That one.
It's the COVID pod.
Well, that's what
Really?
they used to do that on pirate ships if they had the plague, or ships in general used to put a flag up. Oh, they can't come into port; they've got the plague.
All right,
you should start doing that. Yeah, don't come near this pod. Plague.
That's just a skull and crossbones above the pod.
So do you? You say you do the pods. Do you make them?
So no, so we didn't make them. We got them. We got them kind of semi prefabricated, if you like.
Okay.
In fact, it's my old flatmate from university's dad's got this company called Wigwam Holidays, and they've got wee camps all over the place. But you've maybe seen them if you're driving about the Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go all the way down in England and Wales as well.
Has he got a place in Skye?
I think there's a couple of them in
Yeah,
Skye.
I've seen them in Skye. Yeah.
They kind of look like wooden upturned boats, really.
Yes.
So he was saying he's been out here for ages. He was saying for ages, oh, you should get a couple of those up. And then I finished uni and I was thinking of something I could do, as well as music that could keep going while I'm away doing whatever.
Yeah,
chasing the trad dream.
Yeah, chasing the trad dream. And so we put a couple of them up. My dad's a crofter. He keeps cows and sheep.
Okay.
So we had the land anyway. So we put a couple of them up, and this would be our second season running. Were we to have a season at all? So they've done more work as a studio than they have as holiday accommodation. But
yeah, I suppose you'd have made a fortune off the music festival.
They were. In fact, you know what? The folk that were in them. This goes to just show you how much Tiree is a kind of tourist destination in the summer. weren't over for the festival last year. They were like out for a holiday.
Wow.
Although they could have easily attended the festival once they were there, possibly. But it was booked up straight away without the festival even being mentioned. Although this year, the folk that were going to come and stay this year had been booked in specifically as attendees for the music festival. Although they're not coming anymore.
Oh well. So you were talking about your dad being a crofter. So when you were growing up, did you were you helping them out and stuff?
Yeah. So in fact, particularly now that there's not a lot of going on, I've been helping him out quite a wee bit. But yeah, we've always been kind of the workers for him. He's the boss, tells us what to do, which is good. It's good to be able to back here give him a hand. I've been putting up. We've been doing a lot of fencing at the moment, redoing the kind of boundaries of the crofts, which it's actually been quite a different different job when you just know you just got to go and do something, get it done, and then it's nice in the weather. So it's been good.
Yeah, especially the weather's been so good. It's a pleasure to be outside.
That's what I'm sitting there thinking. I could do this, and then like you think, nope, not in the winter when it's like
yeah,
putting up a fence in the hailstones or whatever.
I can imagine it's a completely different, a different reality in the depths of winter when you just look out. It's snowing, windy, and all that. You're like, sod this.
Yeah, no, there is nothing worse than being sat inside and looking out a load of rain, going, I need to go outside, and that.
I know.
And it's like sideways. You're like, oh no,
yeah.
No, definitely not.
It never rains in Tiree anyway, so like, no problem.
You getting paid off a tourist board, aye? Just get a wee backhand or a visit Scotland. No, I mean, yeah, I think it's one of these jobs that I think you have to have a certain personality for.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, because I obviously being in Cardiff stuff, there's loads of farmland around, and I'm fairly often up at the crack of dawn. I do quite a lot of hill walking and cycling and stuff like that, and you see these chaps out doing their stuff, and you think, man, like I couldn't do that job like every day. Do you know what I mean? It's hard work.
Yeah, I think you have to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you don't, you're gonna have a hard time. It's a lot. There's like no holidays kind of job in it. You can't just leave your job at the office and get on with your life. It's a full-time part of you.
Yeah, I suppose there's a strange mix, and strange is probably the wrong word, but an interesting mix in that obviously it's quite a manual labour heavy job, but at the same time it requires kind of this kind of entrepreneurial spirit where you need to be like, right, well, where else? What other options have I got? Where else can I go down? I mean, you need to be constantly thinking about what else where else can I make money, but also I've got to get, like you say, fences and stuff made. I find it fascinating.
It's a particularly, I think, as the world moves forward as well, and you know, times change. It's not like the world isn't the same way it was back in the 60s or 70s when crofting was the done thing, and it's trying to diversify but keep in the right ways, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have different ideas of what the right ways are, but
because
it'd be interesting to see what Tiree's like in even 10 years.
Yeah,
as the kind of industry moves, and how this affects the kind of how this kind of year out affects the island, because a lot of places are kind of running year to year, and you've effectively got 3 winters back to back.
That sounds so Game of Thrones. It's ridiculous.
It's got a wee bit cold there.
And it's been a long winter, but it's been a really warm one. So
I know.
I'm not complaining that much.
Yeah. I suppose because fishing must be a huge industry in Tiree.
Yeah. So it's another. I think back in fact. So before, when my grandfather had the crofts, my dad was a fisherman.
Okay.
He that was his main thing. He did it for ages, and then he came on land, became a crofter. But I think back in kind of the 80s, or I'm sure someone will correct me that they were the 2 main industries on the island, was fishing and livestock. And then you would have had other bits and pieces, but tourism and now it's definitely tourism, and these are, as well as it's still quite a big industry, crofting and fishing. But the 2 of them are they're kind of the locals' jobs, if you like.
Yeah.
Do you ever get whales or dolphins and stuff up there?
Yeah, totally get dolphins and you get minke whales quite a lot.
Wow.
I've even seen a couple of orcas kicking about, killer whales.
I thought
lots of basking sharks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a common. Or Do you know what? We were talking about this a wee while ago. There's not seen that many basking sharks yet. There's been a few sightings. But you get all sorts of sea life around these parts.
I thought I'd seen an orca once. I was in Brora actually, and they were away in the distance, and it was just the way it was cresting over the water. But I'd love to see it like up or have a confirmed sighting, and not just be a sort of vivacious seal.
Yeah. That's it. If you get two seals, because with a basket shark, they've got their kind of fin on their back, and I'm sure I'm butchering the anatomical description of a basket shark. But, yeah, you're like, phone in, I don't care. And then they've got the tail fin. So you've got two.
Yeah. I think one of them's called it's one of them's called a dorsal fin.
Is it? Well, there you go. That's your science. That's your science guy. And you got the tail fin moving. So like a couple of times I've been like up here and like I'm looking out at the sea from here. We're like right on the beach almost, and I'd be like, oh, basking shark. Everyone coming out, there's like two seals, just like,
two seals having a party.
Yeah,
just two seals like come on.
And then like my mum or someone like, no, that's two seals. I'm like, no, that's different. No, you missed it.
no, the other ones.
Yeah.
How big are basking sharks? How big are they?
Really like massive. Are they one of the bigger?
Yeah, I would imagine so because they eat krill, don't they? So
they're
like whale sharks.
Teeth. They've got these like fan kind of fan things. If you're ever
have you studied animals much, Jamie? No, they've got fans. Keeps their gums cool.
So they don't have like teeth. They've got like
it's like a filter.
Kind of filter thing for plankton or krill or whatever. They like, as I say, not the science guy, but they but like if you ever see them coming towards you and you're about that, their jaws are like locked wide open. I reckon it'd be easy to like if you were snorkeling to join in the whale.
Well, they've got a really small throat hole.
Do they? So you just get stuck in the fans.
Yeah, like a fly on glass. Yeah, they've got. I think from what I can remember, they've got a very very small throat hole.
Right.
Yeah, and
I suppose if you're eating krill, you don't need
a big hole.
Oh.
We've taken it down, turtlets. We've taken it down. It started off so scientific.
I'm David Attenborough over here.
I know. I'm demeaning your knowledge.
I work in these conditions.
Oh, what? Right, so Jamie, just before we end, right, I just want to sort of go back to the band and stuff like that. So, have you, obviously everything's kind of has been a pin put in most projects, but once it all kicks back in again, what's next for the band? What's next for you? If you're going to do a solo project, chase that big award.
So at the moment we're in fact, like as I said, we were meeting this morning and we're fighting our way towards album 2. So we released our first album in 2018.
Where can people see it or get it?
So it's on Bandcamp. In fact, I think tomorrow Bandcamp are waiving their fee. They've been doing this throughout lockdown. Is it the first Friday of whatever Friday of every month? They like waive their fee and all the proceeds go to the artists or a cause or something like that. I think tomorrow. I think I got a notification saying it was that. So you can find us on Bandcamp. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Spotify as well. Wherever you find us anywhere, Eabhal, EABHAL.
Right,
so,
cool.
Not spelled how it sounds.
No, it's not Eabhal.
You find us on there.
Cool. Aye, so sorry, you were saying about this second album before I interrupted you. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're working on album 2 at the moment, and that is on a flexible deadline for us. We were hoping to have it out at the start of next year, but that's going to depend on lots of different things. So yeah, keep an eye out for that and some new music. We are working away.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. I'm glad. and I'm sure. Well, actually, for definite, Chris and I are coming to Tiree, mate. We're going to be there.
100%.
Yeah.
We're coming. You better get that glamping pod.
I'll sort the weather out for you.
Just sort that. You sort the weather.
Yeah.
Get that glamping pod
I'll get
cleared
the
out.
basket sharks in the day.
Spring the ones with the wee holes. Yeah, we're definitely going to come up. We're definitely going to come up. Like I said, I've done a couple of islands, but Chris hasn't. And I think it's something that I was going to say every Scottish person should probably experience, but it's a lifestyle and an environment that I think everyone should probably have experience at some point.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah. Right, okay, gentlemen. I'm going to sign off just now, but thanks for listening, folks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. It's been an absolute pleasure. Learned a lot about basket sharks.
Me too.
Seals and that. But anyway, folks, thanks for listening and hit those like and subscribe buttons.